Welcome to the Votary podcast, where we talk about The Batman, 2022, directed by Matt Reeves, starring Robert Pattinson.
Shot by Greg Fraser.
Wow, that's really good. I'm Mike.
Co-starring Zoe Kravitz.
Here for the first time ever.
Here for
on
the
podcast.
first time, Jai Burdick.
Son of our leader, Jed.
I'm on the podcast for the first time.
Okay.
I feel like we're a little bit.
Yeah. Okay. Let's reset. Let's reset.
Yeah, we're okay. Reset. Back to one.
No, just Luke, just for people
start
listening.
with yourself.
I already did. I'm Mike.
Back to one.
I'm Jai.
I'm Luke.
And action.
Damn it.
This is what you get, Fallon. Ask us.
Okay. Hey guys, welcome to the Votary podcast. We are recording this at the end because at the beginning we forgot to record. Classic mistake. Votary. And so we're introducing ourselves. I'm Jamin. This is Luke.
I'm Luke.
I'm Jai.
And here we go.
Watch my cup fill up with Coca-Cola.
I feel like the Lego games of things has been.
Have you guys played the
my
Arkham
general
games? Batman Arkham
Yes,
games?
I have.
Those are really good.
They're good.
I think I've seen other people play.
Also
them.
kind of detective-y.
Yeah.
Like it has like this, but all like it's detective and like really good hand-to-hand combat mechanics.
They are really, really good games. I
It's
got
super
into them
fun.
for a long time. No, but when I went into watching this Batman, I was like, okay, this is the first of what probably will be a new series of Batman movies.
So you compare it to the first.
So I was like, okay, I'm going to compare it to the first of
Yeah.
the ones that I loved in
Yeah.
the past. And already, almost all the way, like at the end, I was like, okay, in my opinion, I loved that way more than I loved the Batman Begins movie. And then I was like, but Dark Knight is my favorite of those because of Heath Ledger.
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh,
That's what I've
how
realized.
does that compare?
That's what I've realized through the years is the Dark Knight is carried by Heath
Mhm.
Ledger. Like
Yeah.
if it didn't have that character,
Oh, yeah.
it would just be like meh, movie.
Yeah.
Right.
But that character and also just Heath Ledger's performance makes it so entertaining. It's so
Yeah.
rewatchable.
It's simple. We kill the Batman.
If it's so simple, why haven't you done it already?
If you're good at something, never do it for free.
How much you want?
Half. You're crazy. I'm not. No, I'm not.
I really was like disturbed the first time I saw The Dark Knight. Like,
Oh,
I
yeah,
remember
me
leaving
too.
I remember leaving the theater and being like, really thinking about like psychology and like, just like, I was like, oh my god, and then when Heath Ledger died, I was just like, oh my god, like it just like really affected me because I was like, his performance just felt so real.
Yeah, I think I saw The Dark Knight when I was too young. I'm serious. I think I was too young when I watched it.
What was your favorite going into this, Luke? Favorite Batman movie?
I don't have a very strong opinion on those movies. I think all the Christopher Nolan ones were really solid. Well, probably not the last. The Dark Knight Rises, I don't think are on the same level as the two before it.
That's what I was gonna say.
With Tom Hardy. But yeah, I probably would have said The Dark Knight going into it, or maybe Bat Thumb. I don't know if you guys have seen that. They did like
I thought
Thumb Wars.
I saw
I saw some of the
Wars.
Bat Thumb.
I thought some Wars.
Yeah, Thumb Wars. They made a Bat Thumb one. No, I'm just kidding.
I'm just-
Yeah,
You're kidding that they made it?
No, they made it.
Okay.
I'm kidding that it was my favorite one.
I'm just
no,
kidding.
it's
They
out
never,
there.
They never made that.
They've made it. But I didn't have. I'm not the most opinionated when it comes to Batman movies.
No, nobody for the Mask of the Phantasm, huh?
Is that the animated one?
It's the animated movie, and it's all the same voice actors and animators who did the show, which I grew up watching the show, and I think the show strikes the balance that I've always wanted with Batman.
I've never seen any
It's
of
all
those.
Art Deco vibes, 1940s vibes with like Tommy guns and guys with top hats. It's very like gangster.
Yeah.
Oh wait,
Very-
what was the name of it?
This was called the Batman animated series. But
No,
then
not the animated series. The one, the
Mask
the,
of the Phantasm.
I think I did see that. It's been a
It's-
long time though.
As far, I mean, it's amazing. I mean, it's not live action, but it's like one of the best. I think it's like one of the best portrayals of Batman, if not the best, if you want to count it. But I mean, it's what it's the vibe of Batman I grew up with. So there's the nostalgia to it, and I remember seeing it. It's really dark and weird and creepy, and I remember seeing it as a kid and being like, oh snap, like this is so sick. And like, so I've never had, I wanted that vibe for Batman. That's sort of I don't know. Batman himself is like Bruce Wayne and Batman are like the same. Like when he's in the suit, he's not just suddenly like like, and he's not like
He's the same person.
he's the same person. And somewhere along the line, they started making him more like like the Bat persona is
Like two characters.
or Bruce Wayne is like this
Charismatic.
this ladies man and all this stuff, and he kind of was that, I guess, in the cartoon, and I don't know if he was that in the comics. I didn't really grow up reading many comics. I read some of them, but I don't remember. Like I don't know. Was he? Did you guys read any of the comics? Like, was he a ladies man?
I
and all
did
that
when I
stuff?
was a little bit younger.
Yeah.
I did when I was younger, and that's kind of what I was thinking about after I finished the new one, and as I was like, that's sort of the thing that I was comparing between the Christopher Nolan Batmans and this one, was the difference between obviously the Playboy Christian Bale character versus the new, more like, PTSD ridden
Reclusive.
yeah, like really.
Well,
and although
yeah.
he was reclusive, quote unquote, in the Christopher Nolan Batmans, but it didn't strike the same chord that I felt in this one, where it was like, oh, okay, so like this is the one where I really felt like they dove into that that character of dealing with the PTSD from his childhood.
Yeah.
Before, I felt like it was sort of an afterthought, where this one, you can see, I feel like in this one, you can sort of see what was always supposed to be the way that was affecting him throughout his entire life.
Yeah. I really liked how in this one, like at the beginning, he's sort of seen as this freak and like everyone kind of hates him, and like only one cop, what's his name?
Commissioner Gordon.
Yeah, Commissioner Gordon. Like trusts him or believes in him. That scene where he first walks into the crime scene at the mayor's house, and everyone's just looking at him and stuff. That was so great. I loved that scene, and just like there was such a great like aura of like mystery and around him, and everyone's like looking at him.
And he's so much more like tangible of a character. It seemed like he wasn't just doing his like magic disappearing tricks.
Yeah.
He's like actually just like a dude in a costume walking in with all these like police officers, and police officers are actually acting like I would expect them to.
Yeah.
With like, why are you letting this whack job dude in here?
Vigilante.
This guy's just wearing a costume and he's acting like he's better than us.
It felt so grounded in that way.
Yeah.
And I was like, this really, but then like you see why Commissioner Gordon trusts him, because he's a smart guy.
Yeah.
Like he's very intelligent, very observant.
Yeah, and that's the big thing is how observant was one of the big things. How stoic and observant.
Yeah.
Whereas I feel like thinking back to like a Christopher Nolan, Christian Bale Batman, he was kind of like big macho Batman.
Yeah,
where
exactly.
He's like I'm gonna come in here and I'm gonna do what I'm gonna do no matter what, and no one's gonna stop me. Where this guy was kind of just like, okay.
He was like more about the gadgets in the Chris Nolan Batman.
He felt this one felt so much more real to me, like a real person, where obviously you grew up rich and you have money to your disposal, but I mean with the way that he is dressed and the way that he he drives his motorcycle around, and then he has his Batmobile that he's working on himself. with where it's like I loved this Batmobile, the way that they did this one.
Oh yeah,
It wasn't.
it
It was
was
way too over the top.
It was like it's like an
Perfect
actual
balance.
car with
Yeah.
a crazy engine on it that's like it makes this thing insane, but it also works well with the character of this guy is still a human.
Yeah.
I mean, he's not invincible. He's probably been the weakest Batman.
Yeah, I loved how you got to see him hurt and like be human and stuff. Like that one scene where he like parachutes down.
Yeah,
and
that
then
was
he gets
crazy.
caught
Yeah.
into- I mean, it's still like kind of unrealistic. Like he would have died from like that hit he took, and he just like totally got
Right.
flung.
Maybe.
Well,
but
yeah.
then you just see him
Well,
like,
he
"Ugh, like,
he
can I get up?"
slows himself down.
Yeah, you can see him limping. You can
and
see
he's
him
also,
limping
and
as
he's
getting
also
off.
wearing that like
Yeah.
the suit that is sort of like mysterious, but
Yeah,
and he's
And-
he's getting hit by bullets, and they're flying off of him.
Yeah, you see him like also get punched. He doesn't like block every single hit, and he doesn't like beat everyone like super easily. He has to work for.
yeah. Well, it's early stage. Like it's not Batman right when he's starting. It's 2 years in, so I like that sort of.
Where
gap.
did we get that info? 2 years in?
He says that
It's
right in the beginning,
like,
Like,
monologue.
yeah, like
Oh.
like 2 years in this life or whatever, and he's documenting.
And
Right.
it cuts off with him finishing it out in the journal.
I loved that detail of him. He's like journaling everything. Like that kind
Yeah.
of really tells that story of him being this observant, like detective like character where he does pay attention. He writes everything down. He keeps a journal.
Yeah, and I think
I
that
didn't
that
like
was,
the early monologue though.
I did like it because
it
because
made me
when
a little like I cringed a little bit. At the
I
the
cringed
was
until I
sort of-
saw the journal,
when-
and then I was like,
I mean, it is
okay.
sort of like a staple of like noir style.
Exactly,
So I
yeah.
think that's why they're using it, even though it's a little like tongue in cheek, a
yeah,
little
that's what I was
cheesy.
gonna say.
Yeah.
But I do think that there were times where it was not used well.
Well, even the like standing in the rain, figuring it out, talking like this.
Yeah.
Well, we gotta. If this guy was Falcone was over here, then it means that he's over there. But what about this other thing? Yeah, well, we have to figure out we're figuring out the plot of the movie. We gotta. Like they're both like talking. Like there's that like noir like 1940s. Like I just was waiting for them to just like have like rain on their hat and like tip it and like the rain like goes down or something. Like it's all silhouetted. I knew what they were doing, but it didn't make me feel like it was like it didn't take me out of it.
Yeah.
But it was a little bit like, okay, this is it's definitely going for that style.
It's a stylistic choice, and it's working.
It's right. It wasn't overly stylized, like you were saying. Like the you felt like it was like realistic and like It's funny when you think about the Chris Nolan. It's gonna be hard to not compare because it's like, I mean, there just was like a gritty, realistic Batman trilogy that just came out like 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Wait, 10 years ago? Was
Yeah,
it?
just about. I think, if not more, just like a decade.
Actually, I think it was
I
like
think it was
2008
2008
was the first one.
Dark Knight.
All right, so whatever.
like 15 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We've got
that's correct.
confirmation from
All right.
Alan
Or-
off screen.
Over
Jamie, can you pull up the?
Sorry, finish your thought.
Oh
and then
well, I
I'll-
was just gonna say like it's so funny how this movie, when you think about how to define it, it really does feel realistic and gritty, and all the things that people were saying about the Christopher Nolan trilogy.
Yeah.
This almost is like even more solidified.
I
in
know,
being,
it's
like-
so funny.
It's just like how more like realistic can we get with the Batman
Yeah.
universe? And then I start thinking about the Chris Nolan one, and I'm like, it's actually kind of silly.
Yeah,
It's kind of over the top. Like this guy, like just like so
guy's-
many aspects of it.
Right.
It was like it's actually pretty polished compared to this, and like
Which
but there
this
were
one-
there are aspects of this that were more stylized.
Yeah, that's
than-
what I was gonna say.
Than the Christopher Nolan's one.
It feels stylized, but it feels stylized in a really fresh, interesting way.
Yeah.
Definitely keeps
The
your
way it
attention.
was
That's why
filmed,
a
though.
lot of people. Yeah, the
Yeah.
way it was filmed.
the way it was filmed is
costumes,
stylized. The content felt like grounded in the world.
Yeah, but a lot of people were talking about it's almost like the meshing of like Christopher Nolan with the what's his
Animated
name?
stuff?
No, the
Michael Keaton, Tim Burton.
yeah, Tim Burton ones. Like
I
with a
didn't get
little
that
bit of the
vibe.
stylized. Maybe it's just like people were drawing parallels between the Penguin and like the way he did like Catwoman a little bit.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
it was a little bit in
yeah,
terms of the
my
mise en scène and stuff.
My favorite Batman movie also had Penguin and Catwoman in
Yeah.
it, which is interesting.
Yeah.
I didn't even think about that. Yeah.
But going back to like the monologues and narration, different things like that, I'll say one of the biggest issues that I felt like kind of coming out of it is like I thought the first third to like a half of the movie was like so strong, and I was like on board with it the whole way, and like great like tone, and kept up a good amount of like mystery around his character. I thought was so good.
Mm-hmm.
I thought the second half, the dialogue started to get pretty weak for me, and it was like it was just kind of clunky and like overwritten at times. Not like to a huge extent. This is me kind of like starting to nitpick a little bit, but I felt like there were certain moments. I love who was the actor who plays Commissioner Gordon?
Oh yeah,
I know
he's a
you're
great
talking
guy.
He's a great actor, but I felt like
The guy
his
from what's that show everyone likes? The
let me see.
you know what I'm talking about? Like
Well, continue.
the West
Anyways.
Westworld.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
He has. I just felt like he was given some of the worst lines, and he was like he wasn't written very well as a character. Like
I don't remember
I
his
liked
bad
his
lines.
well, there was one time in particular where Catwoman was like playing that clip of her friend getting strangled by Falcone, and then she's like screaming, and he's like, "My God, she's being strangled." Like, we can hear that. We know what's happening on the phone. Like, leave it up to our imagination. Everybody just like chime in with like these very just like exposition stating of facts, like, "Oh, that's why Falcone did this."
You know, I feel like somebody in that position would be trying to figure out what was happening, though. I feel like that
but it made him sound kind of dumb.
There
at
were
times.
a couple. There were a couple lines that he was definitely like piecing things together. That's when it got kind of like old school noir, where they're like talking about the case and like figuring it out, and like handing you information, and it was just like, oh, if Falcone felt pressured to do this, then he probably did, like, so
and his voice was always at that same like gravelly, oh, what's happening, like kind of sound, and which is just, he has a great voice, but it's like he's more of like a Batman voice than Batman is right now.
It's true. Like I feel like Commissioner Gordon was always a little bit more like
squirrely.
Yeah, I thought
a little
he's got
the
squirrely and
squirrely
frantic,
I
and like,
think-
what are we gonna do, and like all this stuff.
Gary Oldman was just the perfect Commissioner Gordon. He was so
mean,
good in that role.
He was pretty good.
He was.
The one scene I did love was when
I like this
he
Commissioner Gordon.
No,
he had his good moment. I loved it when they
different
were.
version.
I love the scene where he had passed out and they brought him back to the police station, and then all the cops are around him. And he starts like trying to fight them off. I was like, that was so good. It like got me
that
really.
was
You're
insane.
talking about like the realism
Very
and everyone
tense.
kind of hating Batman, and it was like, and then
Just
he
rip the mask off. Just rip the
Yeah,
mask off.
they're trying to get
Why
off.
are we-
You're like, oh,
this guy is insane. Why are we?
Yeah.
No, why aren't we just doing this? Like,
Yeah, I love that. And then he has him like fake punch him, and then he
Mm-hmm.
runs out and stuff. I thought that was a great scene.
Well, he really punched
he
him.
did really.
Yeah,
punch him.
he really punched. He's like, you could have pulled that hit. I did.
Except it's more like I did.
Yeah.
I did.
Yeah. While we're on that, the funny thing to me, like, because in the Christian Bale Batman's, like when he did his voice, I'm like, I understood. Okay, he's doing this because he's disguising his identity and stuff. But Robert Pattinson, like, he would have it on and off at different times. Like sometimes he'd be really gravelly and kind of go into it, and other times he talked just like he did as Bruce Wayne. I was like, there'd be like back-to-back scenes where he'd see like commissioner or a mayor or something like as Batman and then as Bruce Wayne, and he'd talk virtually the same. I'm like, are people not hearing him? Do people not recognize his voice at all, or
Yeah.
don't understand what's going on?
I didn't mind that because I kind of liked that he wasn't trying to like. He
wasn't
wasn't
like
going into like Batman the character.
He wasn't the character.
It's just
it's
he's
just like
he's
his
the same
other
guy.
side.
He's just wearing the suit.
Yeah, I can appreciate that.
Yeah, but
Yeah, I can
I
appreciate
also
that.
heard that Robert Pattinson was doing a voice for Batman, and they made a choice while shooting to not do that.
Oh, really?
Apparently, like the first few takes of it were just like not working or something. I just heard this. I don't know if this is actually true. But what did you guys think about Robert Pattinson, like as Batman, and just his performance and everything? Like,
I liked his overall. I liked the performance. I liked his character. Like I was saying, how kind of dark and brooding he was in different ways, and
yeah,
I did feel like there were parts that were kind of poorly written just like in terms of his dialogue or his lines and stuff. But he had some really good moments and a really good arc. But while we're on the topic of like bad monologues and stuff, I couldn't take the like ending monologue that he had when he was on top of that building saving people. He was like looking up. It just was so long. Like they could have said the same thing in like 2 sentences, but it just went on. It was like
This stuff
at
about the
first
scars.
I
Scars.
yeah, we have these like scars. We're gonna heal from them. It's like I thought vengeance was the answer, but it turns out that like justice and redemption is the answer. And that's we got scars, but we're gonna heal
When we
from
need
those
hope.
scars. We need hope for scars to heal. We're gonna be okay. But
I think
it's gonna be hard, but we're gonna be okay. It was
I
like
feel
went
like
on
we've
for so
switched.
long.
I feel like we've switched personalities right now.
Right? That's
Like
what I was
I
gonna
actually like. You're usually the one who loves the like redemptive, hopeful things.
yeah.
And I'm usually the curmudgeon who hates all that stuff.
I
that
can't
goes-
believe they would do stupid things they used to do anymore. That's not new.
I
No, I know what you're
I
saying.
actually
Yeah.
connected with that
I
ending.
loved it.
And just because it felt like an earned story arc for the character to not just be so hung up
Yeah.
on just like trying to be vengeful about what happened to his family. He's actually trying to heal the city
Yeah.
and actually try to give people hope and not just be like, oh, I'm just going to be like this scary dude who's like, I still am like out to actually, be do good in the world, but and I'm not going to cross certain lines, but I'm also just like sad emo boy who like lost his
Yeah.
daddy.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I thought from a story perspective, I liked his arc, and I thought it was a powerful theme that they were touching on. I just didn't like the writing of that.
The
monologue.
approach of
it
how
was
they
it was
delivered.
overstated. I was like, I understand what you're doing already. You don't have to articulate all of it to me. Like,
Yeah.
let it be what it is, and I will enjoy it a lot more
Well-
if you leave it understated. Because that's what I was saying. Like the first half, everything was so understated. It was like you got to figure things out yourself. And then they just told you too much the rest of the way, I felt.
Do you feel like the movie could have been better if they just removed the voiceovers altogether?
Not all of them, but there
I
are a
was
couple
thinking
times where I was like, you didn't need that.
I was thinking that in the beginning. When it first did the voiceover, I was just like,
Yeah, I didn't need it.
not feeling it. And then
I
by the
disliked the
end-
first one
by the
more
end,
than
I
I
li-
disliked the second one.
Yeah, I actually liked the ending monologue. I just I thought it worked because I was kind of accepting the style. I think by that point in the beginning, I was like not fully in the world yet, and I didn't really know what they were going for, and I was
Yeah.
like,
But I guess
why are we
to that
doing
point, it's like
this?
if they didn't do it at the beginning, then the second time it would have caught you off guard even more.
Well, that's what
Yeah,
I'm saying.
that's
Like
true.
the ending could have just been like, just music and like visual. Like the whole thing where he's saving the people
Yeah.
in like the Madison Square Garden or whatever. Like
yeah,
that whole sequence was beautiful.
Yeah.
And it was
Yeah.
like just visual music.
stunning.
And you're just piecing together all that stuff, and like if they left out all his inner thoughts,
Yeah.
like I actually really like that stuff. Like I'm obsessed with Mr. Robot. I love that like intimate sort of like
Yeah.
what's going on in this person's psyche. But
Yeah.
Batman's such a mysterious guy and so stoic. And in this, it's just like it's Bruce Wayne and Batman.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have actually minded if they didn't do that, but I did like the fact that he was like, oh, I'm changing and growing and realizing that I don't need to just like
Yeah.
think about my life is like vengeance or whatever,
Well,
but that was
here-
one line.
Here's an
That
idea.
was a little
What
cheesy.
if all of his journals instead of more of like a personal journal had been written almost in like detective shorthand kind of stuff, where he's just like very factually like
kind of like Rorschach in Watchmen or in
Yeah.
or in Sin City, basically every character
yeah
in Sin City.
yeah, exactly. Like if it was more so, like it really leaned into like him just being like this detective.
They all look like electric shavers.
But not even that, yeah, because Rorschach, he kind of offers like his opinions and thoughts on things. But if it was just him like kind of factually talking about like the city, but then you get hints of his like mission and his like personality through that, but it's not so stated where it's just like
dear diary,
today, it's like, here's my personal thought.
met a girl today. She's really pretty and she has long black boots that go over her legs. I can't seem to stop looking at them.
Yeah.
While we're on the topic of
black
her,
boots and
her,
Yeah.
I think that
That's what I said when she got on screen. It's like, Zoe
I think I wanted to kind of like what you were saying with
Yeah.
Commissioner Gordon and his dialogue.
She had worse
I
lines
hated
than
her dialogue
Yeah, she
for
had
most
some
of the
bad
time.
lines.
really
was-
hated it.
I hated a lot
Wow.
of the dialogue. Not all of it. There was
When she said, "'Cause he's my father,"
yeah,
that was a little like
that was pretty
Yeah.
bad. And then after that, I was like, yeah, I'm not really feeling the way that you're. I don't know if it's you or
Yeah.
the way
it was
that
just
it
the
was
lines that she was
written.
given. I think
Because
That's
she's
what I
supposed to be
think,
like
too.
this total like mysterious femme fatale, and then she ends up just like
pouring
talking more than like than she should. I think
Yeah.
in the script,
She
like
was- she
she's
was
sharing
giving-
all her thoughts.
She's
and
giving her backstory really quick.
backstory really quickly. And I was
Yeah,
like,
it's
you
like
could
the
have made her a
info-
lot more mysterious.
Yeah, info dump the backstory.
Yeah.
But that's the thing is none of it felt like the actual writing itself. I was like very like I was accepting it as like classic Hollywood style, and none of it felt like it was like totally out of left field. Like why would this character say this at that moment? You know what I
Right.
mean? It didn't
Yeah.
feel like complete spoon feeding.
No.
Like it felt like, oh yeah, she would be explaining herself here, or like they would be getting to know each other. There was a little bit of like, why is she helping him so quickly? But I think
Yeah.
part of it is just like
she didn't have anyone
knows,
else that was going to help.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And he knows something about her that like other people don't, and he like basically tracked her down. So I don't know if part of it was just like,
Yeah.
this guy's just gonna like pester me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I felt like she would have been a lot stronger as a character, and like we would have been more invested in her if there was just like less of her. Kind of if they just pulled out a few scenes, a few lines, and she was like more difficult to work with.
I don't feel like it would have been
You
a
know?
convincing sort of side love story if they just made her like
I don't.
Yeah,
I
I think
think
that's
so.
true.
I think so because
Really?
you would want to see her more. You're like, oh, where is she? Like, when is he gonna see Catwoman again? And then
I did feel that.
I wanted
though.
to see her more.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
I felt that way too.
yeah,
Really? Huh. I don't know. I thought that it was the Catwoman thing was a little bit like understated. It was fine, but it's sort of like
Which was
yeah,
nice.
yeah.
It was like just
yeah.
like,
They never they never call her
tiny little
Catwoman.
cat thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just a little
I thought
tiny,
that
and then
was
she's
good.
like she just has cats.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Wasn't really ever like, hey, you're
Yeah.
Catwoman.
You're Catwoman.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
I was
I didn't
glad
even
they did
think
that.
about
I'm
that.
glad they didn't have her like I don't know,
Yeah.
something weird, you know, like
She wasn't licking her. Yeah.
yeah. Like,
She did say
doing
she did say that she had 9 lives.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that
That's
was
true.
that was a
That's
good
true.
line.
She
though.
did
that
say
was a
it.
good one.
Wait, when did
Because it
she
was
say
right
that?
when she's
She
about to.
kicks the guy off the building, and she's like, I got 9 lives.
No, someone set it up for her nicely. I can't remember exactly
it
what it
worked.
was.
It-
Oh,
it
yeah.
worked well.
He said Batman was like, "Oh, you don't have to cross that line because then your life will be ruined or something
Yeah,
like that."
It's like I got 9 of them. Or
I got
something
9
like
of
that.
them. Yeah.
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 So that was subtle.
Good line.
Good line.
Good line.
Good.
Mike, you mentioned something right at the beginning that I can't stop thinking about, which is the opening shot of
It's so good.
it. Just
him
the
breathing.
well, yeah, that.
The like the
But
But the
perspectives of
binoculars. And at first, I guess you're supposed to think it's Batman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
And
what
I kind
thought.
of did think that, but then immediately I was like, this feels like maybe this is trying to redirect me.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is probably someone else.
The kid's like stabbing his dad with and you think
It
it's
was
like a
so
real
creative,
sword.
the whole
It's-
thing.
It's such
Yeah.
it was such a good opener. I'm a big fan too of just like not overdoing the titles and just the fact that
Yeah.
it just was like right
Batman.
away,
Yep.
just like the
Yeah.
Batman, and then it was just going in. It's just sort of like a throwaway.
I
thing.
felt like that was another thing that was sort of contributing to like that noir feel. It's just like,
Yeah.
here's the opening thing. This is what you're watching. Ready?
yeah.
Now we're showing it.
And that
Here we
shot
go.
when he's inside the mayor's house and then like you just see
Oh my
just his
gosh.
eyes
The-
behind him. You're
and
like,
the flickering of the TV, like the TV brights, like lights
Yeah.
going from bright to dark,
kind of
where he
reveals
just
him.
kind of reveals. I was like, oh,
Yeah.
Wearing your exact glasses.
yeah. And
Yes.
again,
No comment. Yeah.
What do you guys think of the Riddler character?
He was my favorite.
He was good.
So I thought he was really well written. Like
He was my favorite character. I will say that I was expecting a little more out of Paul Dano, and I don't know if that's just my love for crazy characters and like Paul Dano himself, like knowing what he's capable of, and also like coming off of the heels of Joker and then Dark Knight and all these really great, insane characters. Like the Riddler's his own thing, but he was good. He was really good.
I thought that he played a character that felt immature to me really well. Like,
Yeah.
you know, the character itself, he's younger, he's trying to find his place in the world and has gone down this dark path, and he's immature.
Yeah.
Like
when I was watching, and the way that he looks and acts and talks, when I first saw him, I was like, this guy feels like he's stuck at like some perverted 15-year-old who doesn't really know his way, you know, like he's stuck in this.
Well, you're never really told how old he is.
No, that's true. But
and yeah,
well,
I mean,
he was the same. I'm pretty sure he's the same age as Bruce Wayne.
Bruce Wayne, yeah. I think
yeah,
so.
I liked their parallel of being.
He's like a foil.
They're
of
both
him.
orphans, and it's sort of like pointing out, oh well, this is one path that you could be going down if you're with a painful past and being
if this
orphaned and
does become like a trilogy or something, I think it's a really great setup because, you do get so much character development because of the Riddler for Batman and Bruce Wayne, and him having to do a lot of reflecting on like, okay, I've become this thing trying to help my city, and I've actually brought out some of these other wackies who are encouraged because of me, and he's having to like reflect on his own choices. And
the fact that the Riddler sees himself as aligned with Batman, and is trying to like work with him to like take down the city.
It's almost like heartbreaking in a way.
I love the connections between them, the parallels.
Well, I just like that in his mind, he's like he's finding the truth, and he is exposing it, and he is like calling out the bullshit, and he is like,
which is
and it's you sympathize with him and like what he's been through and everything, and you're like, I mean, I did think like it was a little bit like, I'm going to tell you my backstory right away and everything, but like he was trying to make a connection with Batman,
because he's like, I've been waiting for this moment for so long.
Yeah, he's like, I do think it was his. I was expecting something a little bit more over the top, especially when you're introduced to him. I'm like, oh, this guy's like really gone. You know what I mean? But I felt like he was actually more grounded than I was expecting. I was kind of expecting someone like completely unhinged, and I think it's maybe part of it was almost like feeling like they were doing a more Joker version of the Riddler. And the Riddler is the Riddler is intelligent and does have a plan and is 3 steps ahead of you. And so I did like that he was more grounded, but then it was almost like they were trying to have both, where it's like he's grounded, he's really intelligent, he has this whole plan, but then he's also out of his mind. And when Batman says that, he's just like, you're a psychopath, and he hates that, and he freaks out. I was like, I mean, I don't actually, obviously he's like a sociopath, and he's like a psychopath in the sense that he literally is willing to like harm people and kill people to make a point. But he's not just like a mindless, just like whatever, you know what I mean? And it's really only in that sort of like the terrorist attacks of blowing up the city and like getting everyone in one place, and then that's like the only thing that starts to just be
that was way like
it's like over the top, like the rest of it was
especially compared to the rest of his plan. I just felt like it was too much, like, and I think that was what took me out the most. In terms of the whole story was the whole Van's explosives flood plan. I was like, well, for one, it just kind of glossed over. It's like, all right, planted bombs at the flood points, and it's like, okay, you're perfectly exploding like cement with, I don't know. It just felt so over the top and so quickly brushed over. I was like, this is a lot going on.
I felt like it was believable.
I liked the reveal.
I kind of agree with what you're saying, because like all the other attacks,
it was so
like
focused on corruption and like
was,
single people. And then he just like expanded it to, let's kill everybody.
Well,
Like,
I think that's what
So-
they were attempting to show, that like his line of thinking was like logical up to a point. And then he just really, his true motivation is he wants to make everyone in the city pay because he feels like they owe him
And
for
it's like-
turning their back on him. And it
Yeah.
started with
Well,
these
yeah.
leaders, and then it starts to just be like, just kill everyone, you know?
Yeah, and then
Yeah.
on top of that, like they show how he has this ego about himself, like
yeah.
you know, like he wants everyone to know it's him. So this is sort of like the lead up, and
I see.
look at what I'm doing. So something crazy is going on. Pay attention
Yeah.
to this. And then when everything starts to happen, the big thing that's been it's been leading up to,
Yeah.
it's like, oh, we know exactly who this is, and he won, and he
Yeah.
knows that he won, and
Yeah.
like that's the plan, you know, like regardless of if he's in jail or not.
Because at some point, because his early monologue is like, you know, Gotham's corruption will finally be unmasked. And then
Yeah.
he's like, oh, unmasking is not enough. And
Yeah.
he's like,
Yeah.
you know, he gets so excited about like, I'm gonna unmask everything.
Yeah.
And then it was sort of like, oh, but that's not enough.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I felt like I wanted
Yeah.
I wanted something to happen to him that made him make that leap, where it wasn't just like
Right.
he's crazy. It was like, yeah, I mean, he's clearly unhinged, but like he has everything he was doing had intention and purpose,
Yeah.
and I actually sympathize with him, even though I don't like. It's obviously
Yeah.
crazy. It's obviously wrong, but it's still like I like that they were giving him very clear reasons for every single thing he's doing.
Yeah.
And you're
Yeah.
like, yeah, I mean, these people aren't corrupt, and like, yeah, that is messed up, and like, yeah, you're killing people, but you're doing it for reasons. I understand.
Yeah, what
It's-
makes
Yeah.
you different from Batman, who's
it was
you
like
know,
Saw.
Yeah.
The movie reminded me of Saw, where the guy's like,
Never
yeah,
seen it.
You never seen Saw?
No.
You never see Saw?
Never see Saw?
I
like-
never saw.
Or Seven, where there's
Yeah.
Oh,
There's
I said that to
seven.
Gracie
That's what I
when
s-
we watched it. I was like, this movie reminds me exactly.
Where-
of
That's what I
Seven.
said was we
Yeah.
walked out. Too.
Really?
That's what I said.
Yeah, it feels like
you
Seven.
understand the motives of the killer fully. It's never
Yeah.
just like mindless, like running to a building with a
Yeah.
machine gun. It's
Yeah.
not that type of crazy. It's the type of crazy that's like,
It's-
I know the truth and I'm gonna expose it.
It's
and you're
genius,
the
yeah.
wrong person. And it's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
oh shit, like this
It's
guy, you know?
genius in
Yeah.
a psycho perverted
He has
way,
nowhere
yeah.
to put his intelligence except for destruction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I almost wanted there to be like just a catalyst for him just snapping a bit and just being like, you
Yeah.
know what, I'm gonna put everyone in one place and then let my minions pick them off. I mean, they were killing specific people.
Nice.
That was a
Sweet.
perfect little ice cube going right by the phone. They were picking off specific people, so I still kind of not like I
Yeah.
really need to understand the motives perfectly of the Riddler.
Yeah.
It's just there was a little bit, at
Yeah,
that
it was
moment,
like they
it was
were
a
all
little
these
bit.
people were already getting together in that venue. Why did you need this whole water thing?
The
I could
moment where he's
understand. I
going,
could understand.
Yeah, when the explosions
Yeah.
are
Yeah.
happening. In that moment, I was like, I don't get it.
Yeah,
And then he started to explain a little bit more, and you're like, oh, okay, I kind of get it,
yeah,
but I still don't fully get why
I
why you wanted to get caught, why you wanted everyone else to sort of do that killing for you.
Yeah.
And it ended up just kind of being like a very Joker thing to do, where it was just like destruction and chaos.
Yeah,
Woo!
yeah,
It's like,
he-
Yeah.
but I thought you were a little bit more like a sniper rifle rather
Yeah.
than like a Molotov
Yeah.
cocktail.
yeah, and that I can understand the symbolism of like wanting to cleanse the city and like that, like with all the water. That makes sense. But yeah, like you were saying, it didn't seem like it fit. And what else? Oh yeah, like I didn't get why he had to be captured, because he made it out and they got to his apartment and they're like, oh, he's gone. And then someone's like, oh, there's a guy who's waiting in this diner. And then they just go and get him. He gives himself up. But there was like,
Well, because
he
he let himself get caught so he could convince Batman to basically
Yeah.
join his little
Okay.
thing.
Which
Yeah.
that would have been the right catalyst for him going crazy, right? But
he had already
he'd
had the
already
plan.
done the
Yeah,
plan.
already had
that's
the
what I was
plan.
he
gonna
already
say.
had the plan.
I
in
felt
place.
like it almost was written in that way, where it was like, oh, Batman and the Riddler have to have this conversation, and
Yeah.
he kind of goes nuts. But then it's like, oh, well, that wouldn't really make sense. I feel like that could have been like
Right.
sort of an afterthought, like, oh,
I think that the storytelling decisions that they made are like there's good defenses for it,
Yeah.
and what you guys are saying about him, like like he just kind of went crazy, and
Yeah.
like that's
I mean,
his
he
character.
was always,
It's
he's
like
always been crazy.
okay, like
I totally I'm getting down to like the real nitty gritty of like any sort of criticism I have.
Yeah.
Like
exactly.
to me, this movie
too.
is like up there, like over an 8 for me. Like it's I really liked it overall. I liked it probably better than any live action Batman movie. I thought it was amazing.
Yeah.
And also, we haven't even talked about the cinematography.
Oh,
So that's like a whole
get to
that's a
that.
whole
That's a
thing.
whole episode.
Cinematography and music, it's just an immersive experience.
Yeah.
throughout.
Yeah.
But,
Before we get to that, just kind of building on what you were saying, Mike, I feel like there are a lot of like things where I thought could have been improved, could have been stronger. Like I mentioned, the dialogue and some of the storytellers. I also felt like it was longer than it could have been shorter, and there was some unnecessary fat in like the screenplay. But I felt like big picture, like the themes it was exploring and stuff was like really, really strong. I was actually thinking a lot about some Jordan Peterson stuff as I was watching it, because
that doesn't seem like
these
you.
two what I'm always thinking about
Jordan who?
but these two, especially their relationship as these two characters, like there's this pretty much like this victim mentality that the Riddler has.
Votary Films.
There's basically he's being consumed by like this victim mentality of like, I was wronged and injustice was done to me. And you're like, yeah, you were. Like, really horrible stuff happened to you.
I legitimately had the thought that like if I had gone through what he had gone through, like there's a good chance that I would feel that level of
exactly.
like desire for destruction.
Well, that's like what it's kind of, to me, commenting about that sort of suffering is like, you need to face all this horrible stuff that happens in the world, corruption and like kids not having parents, like all this stuff. And there's two paths once you look that dead in the face. There's like this revenge path of like, everyone like, deserves justice and I'm the one to deal it out. And and then there's this other path, which basically like which is why Batman's code of not killing in the name of justice, never taking someone's life, never using guns, is like so important. It's like the one thing that's separating him and the Riddler in that story, essentially.
Because he almost is a villain. Like so close.
He's taking things in his own hands, but the fact that he has at least that one code of moral to hold himself to, and he doesn't cross that line, and then he warns like Catwoman about it.
He's willing in the moment because he has the code, but he's allows himself to be so overtaken by anger in certain moments where it's like he could beat people to death.
Yeah, he almost beats that guy up when they're in the thing.
Well, and in the beginning, like the thug, like I kind of bless you.
Excuse me.
I don't know if that was a cough or a sneeze.
There's a little cough. It's okay.
Cough sneeze.
It's a little cough.
A little sneezy cough.
It's a snuff.
It's a snuff.
Okay.
I felt like it was like the way it was being portrayed in the beginning with like that first fight is that he is like basically willing to beat some skulls in.
Yeah, I was actually kind of worried at the beginning that they were gonna take him down that path and like, this is a Batman that doesn't care. Like he's gonna kill.
Yeah, I kind of thought that that's what they were going for, and so I was ready. I was ready for that, and I think it's more true to the heart of Batman to have him sort of be on that level where he's like he still has a code. It's like he still wants to do good, but he is so overtaken by pain and anger, and like when it comes to people who are like straight up thugs, he doesn't really have a whole lot of mercy. And but then I like that they took that and sort of he has a little bit of an arc where he's like, okay, like I actually the small bit of helping that I can do is important, and like I actually got to try to give these people hope, and like and it's not, and my dad wasn't perfect, and like I kind of have to help piece back together the things that he failed in and all that stuff. Yeah,
well, like you're saying, it's near the beginning of his journey, so it's almost like at this point where you can see him almost start to go towards like, oh, maybe I should, like he sees how he can't even work with the cops like at all. They all hate him. He's like, maybe I should just cross that line and go down that path. But then you start to see, once he sees the Riddler and the path that he's gone down, he's like, no, that's not the answer. I need to stay on that straight and narrow, and I need to like do more for my community and like not fall into that pit of like vengeance and revenge, because that can lead to a a dark place, no matter how justified it is. Just going down that path is like will take you to a place where like of genocide and like killing and
Yeah.
stuff. And also the whole theme of like the Riddler bringing up the sins of his father and like the corruption, which kind of ends up like Andy Serkis's character kind of shows like isn't necessarily true, but there's still some like
Mistakes.
dirt that mistakes that he finds out about his father, and like that is such a powerful theme, of like having to face like previous wrongs, or like we all to a certain extent inherit the wrongs of like other people. We have to deal with it, and there's like two ways of
it was
dealing with
pointing
it as
out
well.
like nobody's just all one thing. Like he made a mistake, but he was like overall he was like his intention was to like do good in the world and to
he was a good man, but he made a mistake. Is
Yeah,
like this
that's-
character was saying.
protect his wife and all that stuff.
It correlates really strong with a lot of why I was thinking about Jordan Peterson. That he brings up, these myths, particularly like the Egyptian myth of like the character of like the benevolent, like the king, sort of, and there's the son of the king, but the king like has this like this blindness, things that he can't see, and so there's like the tradition that's like things have to change constantly. We have to adapt and evolve constantly, and the past and tradition is sort of blind to that. And then there's the like uncle figure, who's like I think Osiris in that story, and he like wants to just kill the king, and then eventually like the son almost has to like save his own father, but also not himself go blind, but like have this new sight from that experience of like going into the underworld, saving his father. So there's a lot of themes like of
Lion King?
mythology. Yeah, it connects to Lion King a lot. Where like no matter how good like your father is, or like the tradition thing of the past, like it'll always have things that was lacking in ways it didn't adapt over time.
So the
And
Batman
it eventually
Lion King?
becomes corrupt in some way. Yeah, pretty much.
Wow.
And so you always have to address corruption, and you have to grow and evolve and like kill the past and move on. But you can't go just straight like the road of like anarchy and just so it's always this fine line. So it was a very like mythological story that I was telling. It's basically like the story of like these two brothers in a sense.
Right.
Yeah.
Who it's like it's Cain and Abel to a certain extent.
Yeah.
The story they're telling. So I thought that was like really strong.
You felt
really
like
powerful.
there was parallels to Cain and Abel in the Batman.
Yeah.
Who's
definitely.
Who's Cain and who's Abel?
Cain is the Riddler, because he's basically angry at God for like the hand he's been dealt, or like this injustice he feels like he has, and he feels like it. And then he looks at what he saw when he sees Bruce Wayne. He thinks like, oh, this one who's like favored by God almost, and like, and so I'm justified in like hating him and wanting to kill him and everyone with him. It's just like this, this vengeance mentality. Yeah, so
And you
it connects to
found
a lot of cool things.
You found a good community of people that felt the same way as him.
Yeah, and then he just creates more.
Yeah, and I feel like that is probably what I mean, obviously this is speculating, and but I feel like there is what it's trying to say in a way, or not necessarily trying to say, but I can't even think of the word. Displaying
Incels?
pretty much. That's what I said earlier. But it was like he found this group of people that had the same mentality as him, so that sort of encouraged and validated what he was feeling and how he wanted to proceed. And he was like, oh, these people feel the same way as me. I'm not the only one, and like I'm not crazy. This is real. And I need to do something about it. I'm the only one that can do something about it, and these people are on my side.
Yeah, maybe that was like the little missing piece of the puzzle, or that was their attempt at like piecing together like, oh, it's not just him and his little schemes anymore. It's like, oh crap, he found a quote unquote community, and he's trying to get them involved. Rifles are good.
Rifles are good.
That's such a bad.
I know, seriously.
Well,
line.
this is the thing is I think about this a lot with like dialogue because you know how much of like a dialogue critic.
But
I
not
am.
everyone's smart when they write.
That's the thing. Like you have to take into account that like people just say dumb stuff.
I've been on a lot of forums online, like just normal forums,
Incel
and people talk like that.
Yeah.
People actually do talk
I
like
was
that.
thinking though, like they would probably be like describing the exact rifles and the exact ammo that they would be getting.
Well, he
and
said
stuff.
that. He said rifles are good, and somebody said what caliber underneath it. Or,
Yeah.
So they're like talking about like, oh, they're having the discussion about it. They are talking about it.
Yeah, it's just I don't know why that was a detail. I was like, they would probably be talking about like this specific rifle that they were all going to bring. And
Well, they didn't. They all brought different rifles when you saw later on.
Yeah, it's
but
just
they
like
were talking about
whatever
the masks.
guns.
They all got the same masks, and they wrapped their head in the saran wrap.
Yeah, and they had the glasses and everything.
Yeah.
The glasses.
It was like a cool costume design.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
it
thought it
was.
was cool because kind of similar to the Catwoman one. It wasn't like overly.
Yeah,
like,
he wasn't
Oh, here's the Riddler.
Well,
really
and
but it
top
was
hat
like
with
when
question marks on
when
it.
he's wearing like his full kind of getup, it's just like a black hoodie and like canvas jacket. Like he's
Yeah.
not trying to. It's not like anything really over the top.
Yeah.
Like that's another parallel with like with like Christopher Nolan's where
Yeah.
I mean there are things in Christopher Nolan's that I think were attempting to be more grounded and gritty, and then you see this one and it's just like, oh yeah, this is way more real looking, and way more realistic, and
I mean, even the Joker in the Christopher Nolan one is like he's
Still
the Joker, but
quirky,
he's still
and he's
just like
got the purple
he's
suit.
got the purple suit, and he's
Yeah.
got his ace cards, and he does have the makeup on, but that's you know, he does
and
have
like
the scars, whatever.
Catwoman in the third one, right? Isn't
Yeah,
it? Yeah,
Anne Hathaway.
she's pretty like sleek and like
Yeah.
and Batman is just like full of all these gadgets where you're like, does something like that even exist?
Yeah, or even remotely close. Is that science
just like,
possible?
It's like, okay, fella.
Yeah.
What did you guys think? We haven't talked about him all about Falcone.
Oh.
The main
Hey,
guy.
Falcone Baloney's gonna come on. Oh yeah, he's gonna be like, you talking? I own this city. I love the mob stuff.
Oh yeah.
Dude. That was
Yeah.
Oh, and I wanted to bring this up earlier. I loved how I know it's not necessarily about Falcone, but the way that they worked the Penguin in,
Yeah.
and the Penguin's character, and how like you have on one end the Danny DeVito, super short, tubby
with
little
black ink
with
coming out
black
of his
like
mouth.
a huge
exactly like
nose.
he's the Penguin. He he looks like, but with this guy,
He's
it's
got
just like
flippers.
yeah, with this guy.
I love it. I love that stuff.
with this one, it's like, oh, this guy is just, they call him the Penguin because he's a little bit shorter. He's probably average height.
Yeah.
And he's he's fatter. He's round.
Yeah.
He's just like,
He's got mysterious scars all over.
He's got the
and,
scars
like,
on his
gold
face,
teeth.
and
He's so good.
yeah. And it's like he's called the Penguin because he looks like a tubby little penguin, but it's not in like a
He looks like an
comedic
emperor
way.
penguin to me.
He looks like a freaky,
Like a tall one.
a freaky mob boss. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I love how they work that in.
you
Where it's
guys
almost like his mob boss.
Notice
name,
the
Yeah.
the part where they like tie him up and then he's trying to get away and then he starts waddling like a penguin.
I did see that. I did realize. I
Yeah.
did notice
It
that.
pans to like this overhead wide shot and he's just like,
Yeah. There's
"Hey
like
guys,
moments of comic relief.
you gotta
in
leave
there.
me here."
Yeah.
Hey.
I also love that he was doing bad stuff, but he was in the grand scheme of things. He wasn't like this character that was out. He wasn't like a Riddler.
Yeah,
villain. He
I
wasn't a
like
Riddler
that he
villain.
wasn't the main villain. He was
Yeah.
kind because he helped at certain points. Like,
Yeah.
help them figure.
They
figure
learned.
things
They
out.
learned.
They
stuff
learned
from him.
It-
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's kind of how he's introduced, right? He's just like, what is?
He's
what
almost
does
like
he
a
say?
just like a-
neutral.
He's like
yeah,
a middleman
okay,
to
yeah.
everything. Yeah.
Yeah, but man, Colin Farrell,
Dude,
you don't even know that it's him.
Yeah,
Insane.
that's insane.
I literally someone
yeah.
said it was Colin Farrell, and I was like, oh,
I did
must
to
be
you
a-
this morning.
Yeah, I'm like, there's a different, must be a different Colin Farrell.
Must be a different call.
I didn't
Yeah.
register in my mind like, oh yeah, it's Colin Farrell. I did look when he has like those scenes where he's like wide eyed. I'm like,
Yeah.
his eyes look really young for his
Yeah.
face looking
Yeah.
so old and messed
That's
up.
true.
Yeah. That scene, the driving scene with the two of them. I got you.
Yeah.
Got you.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then he's walking.
They, the sequence, the car chase sequence
Mm-hmm.
is probably the thing that sticks out to me the most.
Yeah.
I really liked the way they shot that.
And it wasn't like super over the top like Christopher Nolan's
Yeah,
kind of
it's like-
chase scenes where it was like
Oh,
where
you
the
got
Batmobile was like this tank
who's
that just like
just
rolls over other
destroying
cars.
everything, yeah.
It was like he was having a hard time kind of going through traffic.
Yeah,
It was a normal car with a jet engine, basically.
Yeah.
It makes everything more grounded and feel like he could actually smash into one of these trucks and die.
Yeah.
Where
And he's worried about that. The trucks are falling over onto him. He's like, I got to get out of here. You know, like it's
All-
not indestructible. It's an old car.
all the camera rigs strapped to everything worked really well.
Oh,
where it was just
so good.
strapped to him when he's jumping off the building, strapped to all the cars, like those
That
point
attached
of view shots.
motorcycle
I love-
wheel shot.
I love
So
the
good.
shots of him driving the motorcycle and it's just the back of his head. I loved those shots.
Yeah.
But that's pretty much straight from Dark Knight. That iconic shot of Heath Ledger leaning out the window of the car and everything's going by.
There's some. Oh yeah, I mean,
I think about that.
Nothing against
I
Dark
think
Knight.
about that shot every time I look in my rear view mirror of my car.
yeah.
I like picture Heath Ledger just like
Yeah.
hanging out the back, you know, because that shot.
Have
was
you got
just
that
amazing.
checked?
What?
What?
Oh, the point of view shot from inside the car when Penguin crashes though is so
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then you get to see like the actual like flip afterwards. It's just like
It's
Yeah.
so insane.
it's like some good moments in
Yeah.
there for sure. Did you notice? Did you notice that there was probably about 3 minutes of the entire movie that didn't have music?
Really?
If I listen to the soundtrack, I would bet that it's about the length of the movie. Like every dialogue scene had
Yeah,
an undertone of not just sound design of actual soundtrack that was like subtle.
Yeah.
And it was like just
Like always building
just
a little
keeping
bit
you
of tension.
keeping the-
pulsing along.
Yeah.
And I felt like that was why, for me, the 3-hour
Yeah, I was
runtime
gonna
didn't
touch on that.
really bother me.
Yeah.
I do
It
agree.
felt
Like
pretty long to
I
me.
I thought they could trim down 10 minutes and keep in
Half an hour.
Just no, I
I
don't think
don't-
so. I don't think
honestly,
so.
I
I think
was-
you
They
ruined
had like 4 different
I
endings.
think you
dude.
ruined the nice detective figuring it out
Yeah.
type of in the dialogue. They'd have to really cut down, and then it would start to feel forced. Like I do think it kept you going along. I think 10 minutes could have been cut just in like certain little like lagging moments, but
The thing that felt weird to me is like everything with Falcone at the end. Like I felt like, oh, this is the end. This is the climax we're reaching right now, where he like
Yeah, there
they
was, like,
go
a
and
double climax.
like all the lights go out and he goes and through there and stuff, and like and then the whole bring him into the light thing with.
I
the
think that they did
gun.
this on purpose. I think that what they did, I feel like this is what I was feeling as I was going through, is it makes you feel like you're leading up to a climax, and then, oh, they catch the Riddler, and then you're like, wait, what? Is this the end? That was my first thought, was like, is this the end right now? They just caught him sitting in a coffee shop
Yeah.
with the thing. I was like,
I was just ordering some pumpkin pie.
ah, yeah,
thing-
right?
The thing is the whole reveal with Falcone like being the mastermind behind all that. I love that narrative of like his father wanted to donate this money, like $1 billion to like the city, but there was no oversight over it, and everyone was just like feasting off it, taking advantage of that. And Falcone like what came on top of that pile and like started running the whole city. And I thought that was such a good like big reveal that felt like satisfying for me, and which is partly why the whole thing with the dams breaking and flooding and all that felt a little bit weaker, because it was like, oh, that was the big thing is building up to. I felt like pretty satisfied with Falcone and his whole thing.
I liked both. I liked that they did both, honestly.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel split about it. Like I like the false ending almost. Where it's like,
see, that's how I felt when it finished. Is I loved the false ending, and I also feel like
because you did still have so many more questions about the Riddler.
right. If I that's what I was gonna say. Is if it was figured out that it was just, if that was the ending, I would have been like,
Would have been a
feel like there was
cliffhanger
almost-
ending, which could have been cool.
I feel like there was almost no use for the Riddler then. It was just like the villain you see, and he's like what you are paying attention to, but really the real story is in the underneath. And at the end, it's like, oh, so this villain was, he moved the story along, but to what, it's not resolved with him.
Does Falcone die when he shoots him?
I think
Yeah,
it.
he
Yeah,
does.
it,
He does.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
doesn't even say anything.
No, he
doesn't
doesn't.
even,
He just-
I thought he was gonna be like,
I thought it was gonna.
Don't-
Yeah,
tell my daughter.
yeah. I
Yeah.
thought he was gonna. I thought
Yeah,
he
it
was
was
gonna
pretty
do something
sudden.
like that, but I was happy.
Yeah,
he didn't.
That
died
is kind of a
really quickly.
cool thing though, like that another parallel between them, that like all the wrong that how Falcone, he finds out, had killed his father essentially, and like Batman could have killed him, and like that would have been crossing the line for him, but then Riddler comes in and kills him.
Yeah.
I liked the cross. This is kind of off topic, but I liked the crossing of the riddles being partially, like some of them partially metaphorical and sort of like, oh, you have to think about it, and it sort of means something that you have to infer, and then other ones where it's like you figure it out and it's literal and you don't really know.
Yeah, like the URL one.
Yeah, like the
That was
URL
cool.
one and the bring him into the light
Yeah.
one, and then there's other ones where it's just like, oh, you kind of just have to you just kind of have to infer based off of this. Like,
Yeah.
I like the difference between that. Like, I think it's just a random little note, but
It was so funny. All the different times were like rat with wings.
yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
penguin
they
has
did
wings.
they did
Falcon
throw
has
they did
wings.
throw out the pigeon thing a lot. Like every time they're like, rats, bat with wings, pigeon. It was just like, all right, well, yeah, we heard it.
Yeah.
Like 4 times. But
Yeah.
what do you guys think that the guy next to him in the cell at the end?
Oh, I was gonna
is
ask
like
about
a Joker character,
Oh, it's
because he
gotta
said
be.
something about being a clown, and
Yeah.
he's got the laugh.
He's definitely
Yeah.
His face is all messed up looking.
He
I don't know what
definitely
that
is
is.
the
They didn't show
They're gonna-
any.
I googled it.
Is he
It's-
supposed
I
to be the
did.
Joker?
It's gonna be the Joker.
Yeah, obviously.
Yeah.
Huh.
My first thought when I saw him was that it was a Two-Face character. Because
yeah,
I
that's
saw
what Ben was saying.
I
'cause
saw
his
the
face
teeth.
is all messed up.
I saw the messed up face, and I saw the teeth, and I was like, oh, that's Two-Face. And then he said clown,
Yeah.
and then he said riddle me this along with the Riddler, like, and I was like, and then they started laughing together, and then I was like, is this feels like a mix between a bunch of different villains right now. Like I couldn't put,
yeah.
but then I googled
Yeah,
it.
that part made me laugh. And they're
Yeah.
just like, just the idea that they found a friend is funny.
Yeah. I think it's setting it
And
up for the
terrifying.
sequel.
Yeah.
No, I mean like for them too, like Fred, and then they're just like, like because they're both like,
Yeah.
we are not the ones who have friends. Like they both know it. Like
Yeah.
this is
Mm-hmm.
serendipitous, and then they're like, but they're also like happy about it, and then
Yeah.
they're laughing at the fact that they're happy about it.
Yeah.
That made me chuckle for sure.
Yeah, definitely more of like comic feeling with like Arkham Prison coming.
I like
back
that.
in
Yeah,
and-
Arkham is in there, and it's like a main plot point.
Yeah.
and I don't know. I feel like there's not. We could probably talk about a bunch of different things, but yeah, I mean that anamorphic visual, like
Let me tell you.
there was a lot of lens flares in this thing. Let me tell you.
Mm-hmm.
The
But
Don't tell him about the lenses. Don't.
what about them?
the so
Oh, they
I mean, we can talk. The cinematography in this was out of this world. It's crazy. Greg Fraser,
so good.
just like
Greg Fraser is a
amazing stuff.
maniac.
Jamie and I were talking a
soft,
lot about the
soft.
color palette, like just the most consistent color palette. Like it's like very stylized. Like
I don't know if you guys saw this, but Gracie and I thought it felt like they were almost going for like a purple vibe rather than like a teal and orange type of thing. Like instead
Definitely
of
not teal and orange.
Not teal and orange.
they leaned into like the purple or like magenta
I felt like
shadows a little bit.
Red, and it just has a red and
And
black.
red.
That's what I was gonna say. Red and black is what I felt the whole
Red,
time.
black, and gray.
I definitely
Yeah.
felt it. To me, it felt more blue. Than,
Really?
Than purple.
I didn't feel
but
very
not,
blue.
but not like, not oversat, like a very desaturated, like deep dark blue.
I can definitely
Um,
see what you
there's-
mean by purple, though. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
But yeah, all the different ways that they incorporate like the warm light into the different scenes and
Yeah.
stuff, and like it just had so much texture, and it was like raining
It's
and
a
and
gorgeous
Yeah.
movie. Like every shot, it's just like, oh,
yeah.
oh.
But I was looking it up, just like curious about like cameras and lenses they used and everything. It was all shot large format RE Alexa LF.
Of course.
And they used these new RE Alpha anamorphic lenses, which apparently
You can
were
dial in.
What?
Are they like adjustable lenses?
What does that mean?
Like you
Adjustable
can.
to what?
Well, like that's like with the black wings. Like you can change how they
how
look.
much character they have.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's the same thing, but apparently they were made in collaboration with Greg Fraser. He was like giving feedback to Arri like as they were making them, or like he was basically, it was like custom made lenses like that
For this movie, or just like
for him or for this movie, or that he was.
What else did he DP?
Dune.
He did Dune. He did Rogue One, I think.
Huh.
He's definitely been on this.
Yeah, he
Oh,
did.
no,
He did
It's only
Australia
up
back in the
and up.
day with Hugh Jackman.
Yep. Okay.
He's an Australian cinematographer. But
Cool.
yeah, those were like essentially custom made lenses, and I was like, the whole time I was just the character of them. I was like, it was
Yeah, it looks
so
it
good.
Looks
Like
nice.
the little bit of the softness around the edges,
Yeah.
and but
everything.
not
was
but
really
not crazy. Like he didn't do crazy like lens flares all the time and
Yeah.
stuff. And the flares were really like
Tasteful.
a little bit more really tasteful and more controlled. And he, also I saw this guy. I think he was, where did I see this? Somewhere on like a Facebook group or something. This guy was posting about he helped. He was somehow involved with the production of the Batman, and he was saying that he's like, I can't say exactly what lenses were used for different scenes, but he basically had helped set up some of the different like crash cams and like cameras like attached to cars and gimbal stuff, some of the smaller things that wouldn't be used with the full rigs that they're doing. And he was like, I can't say exactly what lenses have been used, but to you guys who talk about the Helios 44-2 lenses and say that they're never used on like large productions, he's like, I could say that they have been essentially saying they've been used on that production.
Wow.
So
That's
it's like
crazy.
these little like these Russian
like
vintage
$50.
lenses you can get
love
for
those
$50 on
lenses.
eBay. He was saying essentially they used some of them at some of the crash cams and stuff because they have like this
crazy.
swirly bokeh effect and a lot of character, but they're these vintage Russian lenses that like everyone has,
Yeah.
including myself. But it was like, oh, they used that lens and I have one.
Yeah.
Wow, that's cool.
That's like the feeling that I had when I've been shooting just like on my little camera. I've been shooting with the Pentax 55 millimeter, and then learning that they were doing, what was it, the Tribe 7, which one is it?
Yeah, the Black Wings?
The 57 millimeter was based off of the look of that lens.
Oh,
And
really?
I was like, I have the
Wow,
lens,
no-
and I'm
Yeah.
on it.
Yeah, because there's a lot of basically this
99% of people listening are like checked out.
what?
They're like, what are you talking about?
Because they're using like rehoused versions of the same glass essentially. Wow. But
It's crazy.
yeah. Anyways, just amazing look
Yeah.
and color and the texture of it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It was like
it's gonna be a rewatcher.
Yeah,
For
I
me.
agree.
I think it's
Yeah, it's gonna be a rewatcher for me.
that'll be a rewatcher.
That'll do
it.
that'll do it.
All right, I said it was probably like an 8 or 8.5 for me. What about you guys?
I said 8 3/4, and I rounded it to a 9.
Okay, 9
Wow.
out of 10.
That was a
folks.
9.
We got a
That was
9.
a
out
straight
of
We got a
10.
niner here.
Yeah,
Yeah,
got a 9.
that was a
nine.
9.
Niner.
What
That
you
was a
think,
straight
Rookie?
9.
What you giving it, eh?
I'll say
He's giving
it's
it
close.
A,
It's close to an 8. I'd say 7.8.
Ooh, just a little.
Yeah. Just shave off a little bit. If a couple of the dialogue had been tightened up and a couple of the story points had been tightened up, it would have been
Yeah.
a solid
I thought-
8.5.
That's why.
7.
You get 30 minutes off of it. That'll give it.
Yeah, shave a
That'll
take
do
30
it.
minutes
Oh,
off.
I like that it was long. What did
I
you
love
think,
that it was
Jamin?
It was a strong 8 for me. I don't know if it was an 8.5, but
All right,
Ooh, a
wow.
strong 8.
yeah,
I
strong
did
8.
not expect to be
We're
above what you guys were thinking. Well, barely. I mean, we all obviously liked it a lot.
My God, he's choking her.
That really bothered you.
Oh, so I just want to give a little. I feel like we already talked about it a little bit, but
Yeah.
when I was going into this movie, I was like, and everyone was talking about, oh, emo Batman. I don't want emo Batman.
I mean,
It's like, oh, he listens to Nirvana. Oh, he's so emo. It's like, what is wrong with you? Like, this
Of
has
course
been,
you'd be emo.
like, this is what I've been wanting ever since I was a kid reading Batman comics. Like when I was a kid, I used to go to the library and read like the big graphic novels of. I'd used to read the big Bane one, and it was talking about Batman, and Batman was always just like, "Oh, my parents," you know what I mean? Like, he was always so. Like,
I miss my dad so much.
no, like he was like edgy in like what like you know. I know edgy is like a buzzword, lately, but he was actually like he has been historically the edgiest DC superhero.
Yeah.
And with the Christopher Nolan ones, that is what bumped it up past those for me was that Christopher Nolan, Christian Bale was like, "Oh, I'm so sad, but I have money and the women love me and I look so everyone is so attracted to me and I make money, but I'm so sad and I'm just going to say I'm so sad." But in this one, I was like, this guy hates everyone. Like you can tell he's just walking around like he's suffering from PTSD is what it looks like
Definitely.
to me. Yeah. And that was like really like the big thing for me. And I heard so many people talking about how much they hated the character. And
Really?
he was never, and he was never supposed to be that way. He was supposed to be tough and brooding. And I was like, no, I didn't believe he was ever
Robert
supposed to be that
Pattinson
way.
was perfect because
I
not
agree.
only is he emo, but he's also tall, and he pulled off the tall intimidating Batman.
Yeah.
Who
It's true.
somehow still looks like a sad emo little boy.
Right.
I don't feel like he was emo. I just think he was like.
You don't think that hair?
The hair and
It's
and
just
the
something.
I
No.
love.
And then the hair.
I
and then-
loved it
and
when
then
they
the-
put that
yeah,
song.
The eye
in.
me
makeup
too.
on is.
It's so perfect.
no, he definitely.
That's why people are saying emo Batman, but the character himself is actually just like a grumpy, brooding guy, which to
he
me
was a grungy guy.
Yeah,
he
to
was
me-
grungy.
No.
He
Yeah,
wasn't
was he
emo.
grunge or
Yeah,
was he,
If we're
I
talking,
like how when he
talking-
showed up to events,
He
he was
listens
like,
to
"I don't want to
Amberlin.
be here at
Yeah,
all, and
yeah.
I hate all
he
these
listens to
people."
Alkaline Trio, you know.
Yeah, or how what's his face? Andy Serkis's character was like talking to him. And
Oh
he's
yeah,
like,
and then he's
"You
like,
need
"You're
to-"
not my dad."
Yeah, and he's like
That was a little emo. Okay.
That was emo.
Yeah, no, but I'm talking about when he was like,
Go to
"You've
my
got like
room."
people need to see you. You need to go out." And he's like, yeah, what, you know,
Yeah.
like whereas Christopher Nolan Bane was a little bit more like, "Oh, I'll go out and like have some drinks with the rich fellows and keep up the family name and
Yeah.
stuff."
Well,
he hated that stuff.
Yeah.
Well,
in this movie.
Christian Bale's Batman is more like I need to keep up appearances, and
Yeah.
this Batman is like
I don't care.
about keeping
screw
up
appearances.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
But you never
Yeah.
really get like with Christian Bale's Batman. I never felt like I understood like who the real Batman was, because when he was in the suit, he's like, "Oh, I'm badass," and then when he wasn't, he was just kind of like, "I play on the computer and look at my technology," and then when he was out and about, he's like, "Heh heh heh," and it's like I don't know what's happening or what's
wait, which
real.
one are you talking about? Sorry.
Christian Bale
The
Batman.
Christian Bale,
yeah.
Christian
And
Bale is
that's-
too good of an actor.
I mean,
I don't know.
he was good.
I love Christian Bale.
He's
No,
too
he's-
good of an actor, so that he brought his acting skills to the character of Bruce Wayne. Bruce Wayne's not supposed to be a good actor, so that's where the problem is.
Yeah, I don't know,
No,
but
I don't know.
maybe
You tracking with me?
I'm tracking. It's also like he's supposed to be like he's already like a more seasoned, mature Batman, even in Batman Begins.
Mhm.
Right.
Like he's just starting
Yeah.
out, and he's like, "I'm 40," and you're just like, you know what I mean? This one, he's just like he's supposed to be young and kind of like figuring it out and all that jazz. So it's a different thing.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's wrap. What do you think? What do you think? Let's
Yeah,
wrap.
this
Let's just,
looks like we got it.
I
Probably about an 8 or 8.5 between all of us.
I think an 8.5 is probably the average.
I love where that guitar came on. I
Yeah.
was like, yeah.
All right, but I wanted them to do a different song at the end, and then they did it again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like,
I
I
They should have
can't
done
believe I
"Don't
didn't say
Call
this.
Me Daughter."
The movie ends the exact same way as The Dark Knight. That was my biggest qualm with the movie. And not
motorcycle driving away.
just motorcycle music's well, cut to black. I was like,
I did like how when
It-
he
I
was on his
forgot.
motor, whenever you see
Same.
him riding around the motorcycle, well, not in the ending, but earlier on, it's just like him with like a ball cap and a hoodie and
Yeah.
stuff. I like those scenes.
no, it looked good, and I liked the movie. I liked the ending overall, but
At the same.
it's like, oh, Matt Reeves, did you not watch the Did you watch?
Did you not listen to
did you see-
the soundtrack of Star Wars?
Yes! Oh my god, I can't believe I forgot about that. Dun, 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 dun. Yes.
No, it's totally different. Totally.
No, because this one's just dun 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 dun.
Duh.
Same,
See,
same notes though, same
Yeah.
like style.
Yeah, but we'll forgive him.
Yeah, we'll. I mean, at least it has a theme that's reoccurring. It has
Yeah.
multiple themes that are reoccurring that are really
Nice.
It's really creating a nice mood.
Really nice.
The Riddler theme.
Oh yeah.
It's just like
yeah.
so.
You know what I would have
uncomfortable.
liked? You know what I would have liked is a rendition in the same musical style, but like the original, like dun-dun-dun-dun-dun-dun. I would have loved. I would have loved that. Like,
would-
the-
in this,
the
it would be
little,
like
old
style.
radio kind of sound.
Yeah. Yeah.
Something in the Batman.
Batman feels so sad.
Go in my room.
Okay.
All right. Okay.
That was fun.
It's a good movie. Go watch it. Go watch it.
Don't watch it. But
Watch it. Don't watch it.